Barbara is a proven thought leader and an expert in business management, various aspects of information technology management, leadership, and conflict resolution. She has been a champion of IT quality standards and infrastructure for the past 13 years, during which time she developed the world's first university-accredited business analyst diploma program, as well as proprietary resource maturity and requirements methodologies. Let's give her a big round of applause. I'm going to start by telling you about my mission. My mission in life is to help build a better world for people everywhere. So everything that I do at home and at work revolves around that mission. What I mean by that is what my work is all about is making sure that your software works so that your company works, and leveraging that to make all of our lives better. Because whether we realize it or not, we are all actually impacted by software in some way, but I didn't always build software. In fact, my first company was a very small cleaning company. I had a crew of 12 people who were a mix of friends, relatives, and friends of friends. And you know, I have to tell you that I failed. It's really hard to admit as an entrepreneur, but you know, we all think about it during that first year of business. What happened was I learned a hard lesson when I almost lost a major contract. I almost lost that contract because I sent someone in to a job who didn't have a qualified supervisor. So the result was that I had to pay a whole new crew to go in and redo all of the work that hadn't been done already. It was very frustrating. But at the time, I really didn't understand that you have to qualify people. I didn't think about that. I thought about who needs a job and are they willing to work. That's really, you know, in a nutshell what I thought about. I didn't think about not only, you know, do I need to qualify them, but how do I qualify them? I didn't think about those things. I really ultimately faced the same problem that every other small business owner faces. We pick from the available people at the rates that we can afford, right? Is that fair to say? Unfortunately, you know, we learn these hard lessons along the way. When we stumble, we fall, we trip, we fail, we get back up and do the whole thing all over again, and hopefully we've learned a lesson. So today I'm going to change the way that you hire. Because I changed the way that I hired, I would like to help you change the way that you hire too. In that discussion, I'm actually also going to share with you the meaning of life, and I'm going to share the secret of happiness. Because these two things are fundamentally key to building high-performing teams. I want to share first with this book. This book is called Competency Models, and it helped me to change my approach to hiring. It is all about how to leverage competency-based hiring. Is really based on answering 4 simple questions. What do you want the people you're hiring to do? How do you want them to do it? What does success look like? And what behaviors do you think that they need to have in order to be successful? When you can answer those 4 questions, you really have set the standard for what are you going to do, right? So, to explain how this works, I've come up with a little imaginary scenario. I would like you guys to pretend that you've been hired by your friend. You're going to help them to design an exclusive line of cat clothes. Your line of cat clothes is going to be shown in a pet version of Project Runway. And on your very first day, you walk into the shop, and you're given a pad of paper and a pencil, and I'm pretty sure you probably haven't done this before, right? Has anybody actually done this? No? Okay, good. So I picked a good one. All right. So you're given this pad of paper and a pencil, and you're told, I want you to design a whole line of clothes. Those clothes are going to be shown in 3 days. So I want you to make them as well, so that they can be ready for this competition in an exclusive Beverly Hills pet store in 3 days. To make matters worse, You're probably already going, if you were really in this situation, you'd be like, oh my God, what have I got myself into? Feeling really overwhelmed, and you're starting to close down a little bit, right? Because this is what we do when we get piled on with something that's new. We always go like this and close down a little bit. What we need to do is stop and think. But, as if this isn't bad enough, your friend leaves and doesn't come back until the next day. What are you going to do? How many designs do you think you'll actually be able to come up with? How many patterns and clothes do you think you'll be able to make? Right? It's really, really difficult. And while this is, one of those kind of crazy scenarios, the reality is we tend to do this when we hire. We don't give clear direction. If your friend was to come back the next day, they could look at you and go, well, you must have failed. What happened? Why didn't you do anything? Did you sit around all day? Were you lazy? But what if you saw this as a need to create a better hiring pattern? What if you saw this as the need to actually hire people with design and sewing skills? What if you saw it as a need to give clearer direction? What we really need to do is focus on changing the way that we hire, train, and for now I'm going to say energize, because management is about energizing our teams, right? So we really need to change the way that we hire and the way that we train and the way that we energize our teams so that they are successful. Can changing the way that we hire change your probability of success in business? Yes, absolutely it can. Because when you change the way that you hire and train and manage and energize, you change your potential for success. It literally means the difference between potential success in as long as 10 years or as little as 3, or less if you're really driven and motivated. Which, I mean, let's face it, we're women. We're all driven and motivated, right? The reality is people perform a lot better when they have proper training and they are managed properly and motivated properly. For me, the meaning of life is really all about 2 things. It's all about making a contribution, and it's all about getting recognition for that. I want to share with you about how I learned that this was the meaning of life. For me, this goes way back. That's me when I was little. I was an absolute underachiever. I was shy and quiet, and I'll be honest, people really didn't think I was very smart. I was picked last for everything. And to be honest, nobody ever in my life when I was a child, not even family members, would have picked me as most likely to succeed at anything. Which would be hurtful if I hadn't shown it wrong. I actually found, when I was a teenager, I found a military summer camp. And my first summer, I'll be honest, I absolutely hated it because it was too much structure and it was too aggressive. But I have to say, going back year after year and experiencing positive structure and teamwork changed everything for me. I'll tell you why. Because at school, where life was, sit on the sidelines and don't participate, and we don't want you to participate, at camp, I couldn't do that. I couldn't get away with it. I started realizing that I couldn't sit there and expect my team to win. I couldn't sit on the sidelines and expect them to do all the work. It didn't work very well. We didn't have a great team. We did have a great team, and by the way, I had a fantastic time when I started contributing. What I started realizing was we actually started winning the competitions we were in. Whether it was drill, sailing, you name it, we were winning them all. We started getting medals, and that felt pretty good. Far contrast from home, where again, I was encouraged to sit on the sidelines. The reality is, it wasn't just about me, that I had a better time. We all had a better team. Just the whole experience changed for all of us. And I did notice that year after year. The secret to the meaning of life is contributing and getting recognition. Then the secret to happiness has to do with being confident, competent, and taking pride in what we do. Does anybody here feel that way? Yeah? It's really, really important for us to remember that our employees need this too. People that we work with. What this ultimately means is that leadership isn't about us. It's not about you, it's not about me. It's about the people around us. So that really means that we have to do only two things as leaders. Okay, there's a lot of administrative stuff, but the reality is we have to do two big things. Anybody guess what they are? No? Help people contribute and make them feel like they can do anything that is asked. Don't treat them like slaves. Make them feel as though they can walk on water and they can do it. Be their cheerleader. Let them know you believe in them. Two big jobs as a leader. There's one really, really important thing that you do as a leader that helps people to feel like they can tackle anything and like they're important. We have to actually listen to them. Right? Listening helps people to feel important. It helps them to get their ideas across. How many people have a work environment where there's a lot of gossip and backbiting? Okay? How many people don't? How many work in it? Okay, great, we have a couple. So there's a difference between those two environments. And it all comes down to listening. When people don't feel heard, they start talking everywhere else. Because they're looking for recognition of what's going on. And when you start using active listening, which is what we're going to do a demonstration of right away, you actually change how people act within your workplace. So one of the things that I do is as a consultant, I am frequently working with new clients and working with a lot of new teams. What I do is I follow a very specific process when I get in there, but the first thing that I do is listen. Listening is critical, and I don't mean just smile and nod. I mean hear what people are saying, acknowledge it. And by using active listening, we can really do that. Has anybody actually ever heard this term before? Yes. Okay, you all seen what it looks like? Yes. Great, we're still going to do a demo though. I need a volunteer. You gotta come up. Oh, you put your hand up. No, you don't want to volunteer? Come on up. It'll be fun. Okay, so active listening is really about listening, clarifying back to the person who said something, and then responding. So I want to pretend that I work for you, and I've been rude to a customer, and I want you to recommend me for that behavior so that we can have a discussion about it. Make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
We got this complaint, something you did on this particular day. What happened that day?
Okay.
Can you explain to me, you having a bad day at home because you were kind of rude to a customer? And I just want to know what I can do to help you be better productive at work.
Okay. So inside, I might be going, are you nuts? Me rude to a customer? Are you kidding? I'm never rude to customers. That guy's a jerk. But you can't do that. I would probably say, so you're telling me that you got a complaint from a customer about my behavior last Saturday? Okay, were they specific about what I said or did so maybe I can figure out which customer it was?
Well, that doesn't matter.
Okay.
I just want to know, what it is that you need to be trained on, that's going to help you overall.
Okay. So really, I guess I'm just trying to figure out, for myself, what might have triggered it. Then I can work with it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So we're actually already pretty good at doing this active listening and asking for more information and clarifying back and forth. So we're really good at that. Instead of, I've used this and said, say something you didn't like about me, and people go, I hate your shoes. That's really hard. Put great shoes on and spent tons of time getting ready. Thank you. Do you think active listening is something that you can use in your business? I use it all the time, believe it or not, because if you're going to change somebody's icon location, y'all know what the icon is, right? How to open Windows, or how to open Word. If it's always in the upper left-hand corner, and then suddenly you're going to move it to the upper right-hand corner, you would be surprised how many people freak out about that. Think about it. People associate what they do every day with themselves, their whole job, right? You introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Barbara. I'm a business analyst. It's usually one of the top 3 things that we talk about when we first meet somebody, is what we do. But when you stop and think about what am I changing in their world, what I do as a business analyst is related to every little detail and knowing what comes next, and every step, one after the other, right? And when I don't know, there's uncertainty, and it kind of creates all this craziness in my mind, and like, oh my gosh, what happens next? Uncertainty never really works for anyone. So using active listening is one of those ways that we can get that sort of certainty and understand and use it to kind of make sense of a crazy situation, right? It also works really well when somebody says something really inflammatory. Throughout the years that I've been in business, one of the things that I have identified is 5 distinct personalities that we will ever work with in our entire lives. They are the non-participant, the active participant, the heckler, the hijacker, and the kamikaze. These people are important. Remember, we're leaders. We're business leaders. We own the business. It's all on us, right? So what this means is you have to lead these people. So let's talk a little bit about who they are and explore them a little bit deeper so that you kind of get a sense of oh wow, what can I do with this person, right? Let's start with the non-participant. This is the guy who shows up to the meeting and sits there. They don't say anything, they usually sit in the back corner, and if you ask them something during a round-robin discussion, like their opinion on the new cheese bread that's being brought into the lunchroom, they don't have one. At least not that they're willing to share. They sit there, they pass more often than they ever contribute to meetings. The reason that this person does this is because they are usually shut down. It's important to know why they're behaving the way that they are. Because once you know that and recognize the pattern, you can change it. Right? Because remember, you're building a high-performing team. That team is not just going to have all high achievers on it. You're going to have a variety of people, and it's your job to help them. And you're going to be their cheerleader. So the non-participant really needs you to step up and find out why. Use your active listening. Talk to them. Understand. Why are they checked out? Why don't they believe in what's going on? Why aren't they contributing? What you'll find is usually this person feels unimportant. They feel like it doesn't matter if I contribute because nobody's gonna listen anyway, right? The active participant is quite the opposite. This is the person we all know, they would be the keener. They show up, they've read everything, they're on time, they want to start the meeting, they want to offer to take notes, and they're offering ideas. They're just really excited to be there and just want to get work done. Right? We all know this person? The heckler, on the other hand, is somebody who shows up and they will poke fun at things going on around them. They'll poke fun at pretty much everything. You, customers, other people that they work with, vendors, they don't care what's going on, what are you doing. They will poke fun at absolutely everything. There's a reason that they do that. They are either doing it because they are not challenged enough and they need more of a challenge and more work to do. Or they are doing it because they don't understand. Unfortunately, you have to go in and talk to them and again use your active listening skills to figure out which it is. This person wants to contribute but doesn't necessarily know how or doesn't necessarily feel like this is enough of a challenge for them. So you have to go in and talk to them and understand why. The hijacker is someone who acts like the heckler. However, instead of poking fun at everything going on around them, this guy's like a protester. He's really only poking fun at the leader. He's the guy who comes in and tries to take over the room and always tries to steer the conversation. The reason is because he wants to be the leader. He just doesn't necessarily know how. Sometimes they feel disempowered. And this is their way of gaining power and control. The way that you deal with this person, the hijacker, is to help them to get control in a way that's appropriate for everyone. You have to help them to become a true leader. Unfortunately, these people tend to be dictators because they don't know how, so it's your job to steer them to be a good leader. This person, when I go into a new project or a new client site, this guy, remember I said he's like a protester? He's usually my champion. Because as loud as he will be in the room against whatever is going on, if I could win him over, he will be the loudest person in the room for what I'm doing. That helps me to do my job better and easier. Because this guy then becomes my cheerleader. And on the sides, he's making sure everybody's rah, rah, yeah, you can do it, you can go. Right? You want this guy on your team. Sometimes, you know what, I gotta tell you, first walk in there and you think, oh, this guy's gonna be a pain in the neck. The reality is you want him on your team. Make it your job to find him and flip him quickly and keep him on your side. And the last person is the kamikaze. The kamikaze is your greatest leadership challenge. They have their own agenda. Unfortunately, that agenda changes a lot. And they will go to the death, and I mean fire, to the firing line to force their own agenda. Unfortunately, what makes them the greatest challenge is it's difficult to help them to meet their own needs. That's what makes them the most challenging. Because as a leader, we're trying to help them meet their needs, we're trying to help them find their meaning of life and their sense of happiness so that they can work and contribute, right? But if they won't share it, and they're going to go down, unfortunately, it makes it really, really difficult for us as leaders to keep them going. You can turn all of these people into active participants, by the way. Absolutely can. But if we can't manage them effectively and appropriately, what happens is they all kind of scatter, and they could all end up being kamikazes or non-participants. Right? So you want to make sure that you turn everybody into active participants. Don't let anybody through the cracks. And again, use your active listening skills. I said earlier that I follow a very specific process when I'm working with new clients. I actually take the time to sit down and listen to everyone that I meet. If I'm going to be working with them in some way and interacting with them in some way, I take some time to go for coffee with them, meet with them, understand who they are, how do they contribute, what's their role. I want to know who they are as a person. I will take them for lunch. And we'll sit and talk about something completely unrelated to work. Who they are as a person matters. How we manage our business and the people that we're working with matters. Because that changes our experience in business. And it transforms our business altogether. And I want to hear from you, what do you think are the traits of a high-performing team? You've been pretty quiet so far. You're not going to get away. Okay.
Trust.
Trust? What
Mutual
else?
trust.
What was that? Mutual trust?
Respect.
Okay, what else?
Good work ethic.
Good work ethic? Okay, anything else? What do you think makes a high-performing team? What makes them different from a regular team?
Loyalty to each other.
Loyalty to each other, right. A high-performing team is really, when you think about it, it's a happy, healthy mix of skill and talent. It's people who are sharing and supporting with one another, and they're helping each other out, right? It's not about, hey, that's my job, you don't touch my job, or, you know, I don't want your input. It's about making sure that we're all collectively contributing, right? This goes back to my experience at military camp, believe it or not, who knew? It was there that I realized that not sitting on the sidelines was the most important thing I could do. And now as a leader, that's one of the things that I have to make sure my folks do, right? Is nobody can sit on the sidelines, especially when it comes to building software. When you want to build software right for the business, you have to hear from everyone in that business. There's no way that you can always this. So, I am tasking you with a mission. That mission, should you choose to accept it, I just have to throw that in, is to help me to build a better world. One happy team at a time. Are you guys ready to go and spread some happiness? Oh, come on.
Yes.
Yay! All right, I know you guys can do it. Fabulous. Does anybody have any questions before we close? No? Do y'all feel excited and ready to go take on the world? Okay, I'm going to leave you with this parting thought. I saw it on Facebook, I'll leave that. But I really liked it. Angry people want you to see how powerful they are. But loving people want you to see how powerful you are. If anybody would like to get a copy of this, please just email me and I'll have this.